He stood around the door, his hand curled around the knob, and waiting for his muscles to work up the courage to actually open the door to where his wife was waiting. He had been here for nearly 5 minutes now, trying to work up his nerves. Bakugou Katsuki, the hero host asked, and challenged the darkest of forces, was now terrified to open the door to the hospital room. He would have never guessed this would be the case for him, yet here he was, proving himself wrong. Inside would be his wife, patiently waiting for her husband to walk in and see the bundle of joy they had created together. The being he had been waiting to meet and love since the moment he learned of the pregnancy. Yet, why was he so terrified to open the door and actually go see his baby? Maybe it was because he missed the birth of his child. He had been out fighting off a huge villain attack on the opposite side of the town and ignored her call. He should have known though. She was 9 months along. What the hell else could she have been calling about? Nevertheless, he ignored her several times. When she called him, he had made her go through the panic of her water breaking alone. At least his wife was smart enough to know he was not going to answer, and instead phoned his parents to help her. When he finally did check his phone after the battle, he learned the hard way to always pick up when your pregnant wife was calling you. Hell, he'd always pick up on the phone now, no matter what, if it was you on the other side of the line. He didn't even give himself the time to change out of his work clothes. Instead, in a mad and worried dash, made his way to the hospital that his father had texted to him. He arrived too late though. The doctors not allowing anyone else to enter the delivery room any longer. You had not been alone though. Mitsuki, taking his place beside you to coax you through your hours of labor. She might have been the best choice too, as she already lived through the nightmare of childbirth. And so, he sat outside the waiting room with his father. Masaru didn't attempt to bring up a conversation, knowing full well how stressed his son already was. The older man could only inwardly chuckle, remembering how he had been no better when Katsuki was born. Lucky for Katsuki, his mother had also assumed he would forget to change, and got Masaru to bring some spare clothes for their son. So when Katsuki had finally calmed down enough to talk, his father had urged him to change into the sweats and t-shirt. And finally, after what felt like days, though were just a mere few hours, his mother walked out and told her son that his wife and baby were waiting to meet him in a room down the hallway, which brought him to now, trying to decide if he was even allowed to go in and see his family that he had neglected. "What are you still doing out here? Get your ass in there and see your kid." He turned to look at his mother, who had suddenly appeared next to him. He had no idea how long she had been next to him, but she looked a bit concerned that her son was not acting like himself at all. "I missed it, Mom. How could I fucking miss it?" His rough hands ran through his singed locks, then repeating several times, until he was essentially scratching his scalp from guilt. Mitsuki placed her hand on his shoulder, stopping his actions. "You were here. Maybe not next to her, but you were here. And now, it's time to finally be by her side again," she mumbled. Squeezing gently, Katsuki nodded, turning his gaze back to the door, and he let out a breath as he turned the knob. The air was much cooler in the bedroom, the open window in the warm June day, carrying the sounds of summer to him. Sitting on the bed next to the window was his wife, gently gazing down at a bundle of pink in her arms. Katsuki internally flinched at her appearance. Sweat drenched everywhere, tired baggy eyes, and tears still running down her cheeks. What the hell had he made her go through without him by her side? When he clicked the door closed, she finally lifted her gaze up to him. She at first seemed surprised he was here, but quickly dissipated, with a look of comfort and amour. I was beginning to wonder when you'd show up. She teased him, not noticing how stiff and unsure he walked. Bakugou pulled out a chair and sat by her side, refusing to make eye contact or even speak to her in this moment. Why took notice, shifting the sleeping newborn slightly so she could turn and face Katsuki more. She used a free hand to stroke his mystery locks, making him jump. He quickly lifted his head upwards and looked at her. She laughed at his tense state, seeing as this entire process must be guilting him more, since he missed their baby's birth, though YN had no intention to let it last any longer. Today was a blessing, and now would be every year for the three of them. Do you want to hold Katsuki? His red eyes widened, hearing the name of his daughter for the first time. It was then he realized that he never even talked about names with his wife during the month they had, and only found out that his baby was named after him. Katsuki? His wife pressed the child into his arms, him freaking out. He had never held a baby before. Why the hell was she trusting him? He wasn't gentle or quiet. God, who the hell decided to let him have a kid? I always liked how you had Katsu in your name, so I decided to continue it with our daughter. She's pretty, isn't she? You asked him, gesturing to the sleeping baby. Katsuki stared at you a moment, hesitantly looking down into his baby. He stiffened again, his hand feeling weak. He quickly remembered he was holding a baby, and reaffirmed his hold to support her small head. He gazed down at the small being in his arms, his love growing for her as each second passed. She had your nose and your hair texture, but that was his hair color, right? Katsuki opened up an eye, a small whine escaping her mouth, as she had been separated from her mother. Oh, damn, Bakugou whispered, even surprising himself with a soft tone. She's got my eyes. You laughed beside him, watching as his tears, unknowingly to him, began to run down his face and land in your daughter's cheeks. She was making a fuss due to not wanting to get her father's tears on her. She's gonna have your tongue if you keep talking like that, you know? Shut up. He wiped away the trails on his face, finally having realized those were from him, and not his infant daughter. You laughed again, finding the sentimental and soft Katsuki rather sweet. He was already so in love with Katsuki. Just the way he was holding her so much and smiling so softly was enough to tell you. God, I'm so damn sorry, he grumbled out, head folding down. Katsuki cried out, and he took her back from her husband. The baby quieted down when she recognized her mother's warmth. He turned to Katsuki, touching his chin, and then looked back up at you. What are you getting at, Bomber? Bakugou bit his lip, gesturing to you. You look so damn bad. You stared at him a moment, trying to see if he was being sincere. And when he didn't make a motion to change his words, or even click his tongue, you knew he was serious. Katsuki, I was just in labor. Babies don't just come out so easily, so of course, I look like hell. I should have been here though. Maybe you wouldn't look so bad then. I'm pretty sure it would have been worse. I was in a lot of pain. I actually might have grabbed your mom at one point and said, your son did this to me. That damn bitch. Are you serious? There was normal Katsuki tone. Looks like he was beginning to come back now that the guilt was leaving him. I'm just glad you're here now. I was worried that something happened to you, like a shitty villain could take me down. You laughed and turned towards your daughter, who once again was sleeping peacefully in your arms. You're that Katsuki? Your big bad father is more afraid of holding you than fighting off people who want to kill him. You have quite the power over him already. Shut the hell up, he grumbled, clicking his tongue and tossing his head to the side. We have a daughter now. He let out an exhausted breath. Yeah, we do. And we're gonna be the best parents in the damn world. You nodded at him, smiling gently. He wasn't perfect, but there was no doubt in your mind that he would protect Katsuki and you for as long as he lived. Katsuki wasn't just the type of person to go back on his word, and he had already given your daughter his from the moment he saw her.